This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, everyone. Let's start. So, in the last class, we have discussed that if you start any project, okay, so there are two scenarios. Either the client knows about what performance testing is and what, as a performance team, the solutions that they are going to provide, or they have a little, or they'll know that okay, fine, they need some performance improvement for the application, so they reach out to you. Okay, so we have discussed that okay, if the client knows already, then he might be aware okay, these are the components in which, or the fields or the sections in which the performance testing team can help out. Okay, if not, we have to give one performance testing walkthrough. It usually happens with the clients or the app owners who are coming for the first times. Okay, uh, then we understood that what are the performance life cycle steps are there. Okay, we have understood it with the live examples, okay, real time examples, so that okay, and understand okay, we don't have to memorize this each step. These are all logical steps that is needed to execute the project. Okay, then we have looked at a performance process. Okay, so how do we do it? What is the process that as a performance team we follow, and we are going to follow in this project also to do a project? Okay, I hope we are clear till this point. If any has any doubt, you can ask me now. Otherwise, we'll move to the next section, methodology, that how exactly we are going to do it. No
From
doubts.
my end,
Okay,
it is clear. Yeah.
so yeah. So, what about you, Sensha? Clear? Okay. So let's move. So next thing is methodology. Let me just expand it a little bit. Okay. So how do we do I mean, how exactly we are going to do a project? So if you know the course of name is also like real time project with LoadRunner. So we'll be using LoadRunner tool to generate the real user traffic. Okay, LoadRunner is a tool basically which we when we create a script, we call them V users, virtual users basically. So the behavior that I am going to do, we create one scenario thinking, okay, these are the component the user will do, and from a performance point of view, we look at it. Okay, these are the components. So when we are logging into log out, we are not looking at the functionality of the application. Okay, so people who are coming from manual testing or automation testing background, they tend to mix up a little bit. Okay, so here you need to understand that once you log in and log out, okay, we are not looking at the functionality. Once I click on login, once I click on login, in how much time I'll be go inside the application. Okay, so this duration where we play, okay, as a performance tester, okay, how fast this is happening. And if not, we work all the tools that we employ to optimize this one. Okay, so request that is going in and request that is coming in, okay, we are only looking at that which on component when we do something on the application, website, anything. Okay, where the request is going in and where the request is coming out, like that we have to look at it. Okay, so as we already know, so we create our Vusion scripts in our loader tool. Okay, once that is done, then we have a controller, or it can be a performance center also. Okay, controller is if you know controller, everybody should knows controller if you have done loader. So performance center is basically a cloud version of it. So project management become very easy. You have different projects, all the test, all the scripts that you upload on the cloud, on the machine in which that performance center is hosted, it will be there. So project management, it's become very easy. Okay, but if you know controller, load on a is automatic. That performance center you'll get automatically. If someone just need to tell you the interface, you'll be able to do the work. So it's not as such different. Okay, functionality wise, or everything is, most of the things are same only. Okay, so again, using load runner, we are executing the test. Okay, so load simulation. Okay, these are the LGs. Okay, as I told you that if the application is there in, is if you are sitting in India and you are doing testing, okay, so we have to look at it, okay, where the users are. Okay, because if the application is hosted in US, user base is also from US, we cannot test it from India. Okay, there will be high latency. But okay, so we cannot test it like that. Wherever the application is there, and from the architect, the application architect has designed this application. Okay, so if you know that there are certain data centers, so if like I'm taking a there are multiple data center. So as an application architect, I will take a call. Okay, fine, I need this data center, I need that data center, because again the latency will be lesser. Okay, so if the company or the application has decided, okay, fine, I have a bigger user base in US, okay, a smaller user base in India. So what they can do, they say, okay, fine, do the testing for this one and keep one LG from India as well. I want to see that small group of users who are using it. Okay, maybe the SLA might be different for them because they know that again the request has to travel all over the US data center. Okay, so the latency will be higher, so a slight increase in the response time will be observed, but they were okay with it. Okay, they will be okay with it. Okay, in future if the application base grows in India as well, so they'll find some data center near to India where the latency will be addressed, and a shorter response or the response time which is within the SLA will be achievable. Okay, but yeah, the user base, the big chunk is there, 90%, let's say, is there in US, so they are not that much concerned with this. So again, so we cannot test it from India. We cannot test it from the machines in which we are recording the script. People tend to think, okay, I've recorded in my machine and I can run it from where. No, you have to ask where the machines, I mean where the user base is, there only from you have to run the users. Okay, test. Now these are all LGs. Okay, then these are connected to international WAN. Okay, your office WAN, it is been connected. Now if you see, there's a tool one written called stat seeker. Okay, so when we are running the test, we'll be monitoring the network as well. So when if you there's a thumb rule that you can remember, that when the network engineer design any network, okay, they make sure when the user load is peak. Okay, let's say all over I mean everyone who is in that network is there, okay, using the services. Okay, so all the data packets will travel through this network. The utilization will not go beyond 50%. Okay, uh, and when we are testing it also, so we are checking this, and if we see, okay, the network, the utilization is going beyond 50%, this is something that we need to highlight. Now this is a stat checker. People do it using instrumentation through SolarWinds. Also there are dedicated network monitoring tool also. So usually this is the network monitoring team, network team will be there in your organization. Okay, they will take care of it. But what you can do, you can ask them the dashboard access. Okay, or you can ask them, okay, can you please provide me the network analysis, okay, for for this duration for which you have run the test, and you can look at the graph. If the network utilization going is beyond 50%, then that is something that you need to highlight to the network team. Okay, and the application team also and the network team also, so that they can dig deeper that what happened during that test, so the utilization went beyond 50%. So there is actually there are multiple tools available in the market, but we as a performance testing we have team, we have to keep this in mind as well. Okay, so every all the requests that goes into your network international WAN. Okay, from there, now there are some multiple scenarios. Now you can have a legacy system. In a legacy system there will be one data center where you will have your app server, DB server, application server. Okay, it can be hosted anywhere. So if Phoenix is in US, India, and it can be in London also. Okay, then there's a possibility that your environment is on the cloud. Okay, so AWS or your Azure, I mean SaaS environment basically. Okay, there also you have this environment, but yeah, the monitoring will become bit easy actually. Okay, so if, let's say if it's Azure, so then you'll have Azure monitoring available with us, so don't need any separate tool as such. But yeah, if you need more detailed profiling, then you can go ahead and use the monitoring tool as well. But if you are working on a like system, okay, so then you need a good monitoring tool to analyze that. Okay, now even if the request is traveling, so all these component has been highlighted, because as a performance system we have to look at it. Okay, so you have to look, because see, the request is going international WAN, we are looking at the network. Okay, then if it's going to data center, we are looking at the network for LAN and WAN through which our request is traveling. So we that's why we are monitoring the network. Then in a data center we have the monitoring tool monitoring all our app, DB, web. Then in your cloud solutions you have your inbuilt monitoring tools, or you can deploy external tools as well for the monitoring. These are your site and client locations where we are from which we are testing the application. Performance test agent, these are the LGs from which we are generating the traffic. Let's say 1000 or 2000 users are there, so we'll do when we do the calculation. Okay, so we'll know, okay, we have to put this much user load from so and so location. So that's how we design our LGs, and then in the LGs we can assign, okay, put this much user of load, this much TPS from this machine, this much V users from this machine. We can do all those configuration, that is possible. So we can do the user load distribution. Okay, and then when we are running the test, okay, then we are running the test, then we need to, I mean, the kind of tool that you're using for your testing, I mean, monitoring the testing. So you can have Datadog, you can have Dynatrace, you can use any. There are multiple tools available in the market. But for our project, we'll be using Dynatrace. So it can be a agentless, okay, or it can be a agent solution also. Okay. So usually, let's say for Dynatrace, there is one agent. Okay. Even in Datadog also, there is a Datadog agent which is being running in your system. Okay, and it continuously capturing all the metric and sending it to a database of the Datadog, or let's say even in Dynatrace also. Okay, so one agent is basically capturing all the metric, monitoring all the metric, and it is sending all the traffic, all the data that is there to the Dynatrace. Actually it sends to the mission control where all the data is getting stored Dynatrace cloud. Okay, and through active gates. So we'll see when we'll see the architecture, we understand how Dynatrace actually works. But these are not sending the traffic. So uh, if you look at, I mean, that's an interview question also. People ask that, even you think that, okay, fine, if you install one tool and our traffic is coming up, okay, continuously your traffic is coming up. Now these monitoring tool are monitoring at a regular frequency. Let's say every 5 seconds they will send the data, every 5 seconds they will send the data, every 5 seconds they will send the data. Now if they are sending the request to pull the data, it will also create a load on the application, right? We don't want that. So how these applications are designed, they send data back. So they capture it and then send it back. So it's outbound, not inbound. Okay, remember that. Someone can ask you. So these tools are designed in such a way that they send outbound. I mean, agent has been running here, agent has been running here, agent has been running here, and whatever the metric they are capturing, they are sending it to their source. Okay, where the data is getting stored, and then you can, these are all, I mean, accessible over the internet, so you can log in from your system and then you can check all the metrics. Okay, I hope we are clear that how we are going to execute the test. Everyone is clear? Give me a go at it.
So it is possible that our LG machine is located on different server and our LoadRunner tool is located on different machine. Is it possible?
Yeah, possible. Yeah, it's there. It's that is the case, right? So let's say what happens now. So as a performance team, we have load on licenses. Okay, and some project came and the application is based on Russia. Let's say. Okay, so I cannot, as a company, let's say if I'm TCS or employee, as a TCS, I cannot have their machine in their office. Okay, so that application has been made for the users who use, let's say, American Express, Russia. Okay, so their user, they have developed an application which is inbuilt to their organization, that is not exposed to the outside world. Also only the employees, internal employees, use the application from their WAN network. So you need a machine which is there in a WAN network, and a connectivity needs to be done. That, I mean, that can be done. Okay, and then you have to test it from there, that condition only. You have to look at it, you have to ask this question to the application team or the app owners, that in what is the user base, I mean, all these questions, that what, where the application is getting, in what network it is getting used, and you have to procure one machine. So usually what happens, the client only give you one machine. Okay, one machine, two machine, wherever it's needed, and then you go, and usually some audience will have a tool admin, okay, who takes care of all this installation work and then setup part. Okay, so as a performance tester, you don't have to do, you are just concerned with creating the script, creating the scenarios, testing it, optimizing it, all those things. Okay, but in some companies, okay, product based companies, they usually don't keep tool admin, so that you have only has to, but it's not that hard. Okay, it's not that hard, it's very easy. So you need to do, you to install it. Okay, and then there's some configuration that needs to be done, and then after that it will be able to connect to your performance center, let's say, or your controller, and then you can directly run that. You don't have to go every time and do the access. So how do I do it? Basically you take a remote of it. Okay, a remote connection is established, and then you can do everything that you want to do. Okay, there's one more thing that is left. Nobody asked me this. I've written something here called database benchmarking, SaaS benchmarking, site certification. Okay, so what is this? Or I think in the first session, I think yes, and second, yesterday, last class also we have discussed that what is benchmarking. So let's say that I need, initially I have to start from somewhere, right? So I set the expectation that, okay, fine, my SLAs will be this much. Okay, when we are doing for the first time, I mean the system is not tested, you can take this as a reference also, or from the other application which is there in the market, and you can say no, no, the architect knows, okay, fine, I have developed this application, it should be not like, it should, the response time should be within these SLAs. So we started from where, okay, we want to benchmark this, we have to test this application and make sure the response time is within this SLA that we have defined. Okay, so if you are, again, we are testing on a data center level, so data center benchmarking, that as of sometimes you will see that some teams, these are, I mean, the terminologies which is used, the database benchmarking is getting done. Then if it's the same thing, but yeah, it's on the SaaS solution, I mean, okay, SaaS. So SaaS benchmarking you can do. Then there is site certification. Site certification, how do you, let's say I have developed an application. Okay, I have developed an application, deployed it, everything, it's working fine in US. Okay, now I want to expand in India. The code built, okay, the build is same, everything is same. All I did was I procured one data center near to that India. Okay, so that the latency is little bit lesser, or okay, and I want to test whether the experience that my user base is having in America is also same for the Indian users. Okay, so what I do, I just mimic, I mean, you can replicate it, same code. Okay, and the configuration that you have, you expecting, okay, the same traffic that you have in US, the same traffic you'll have in India also. Okay, you have basically created a copy of it. Now I cannot comment, right, that this solution, I mean, you will have the same response time, everything will be same, so some a test needs to be done. Okay, so we can do a site certification also, saying, okay, fine, once everything has been set up, we get an environment, we do a testing, and if the response times are within the SLA, we certify, okay, fine, these with the user base that has been given. Okay, with this setup, the response time will be within the SLA, or the KPIs that we have agreed in the meeting in our NFR. We can agree on them, saying, okay, fine, it is achievable. If not, then the whatever the performance tuning is needed, that will be done. Okay, so site, when a new site rollout is happening in different location, site can be certified. Then we can do a latency and benchmarking testing also, I mean. So let's say, if you know that, when a request travel, okay, when a request travel, so if I can do a try set, let me see. So what I'm doing basically, I'm pinging the host of the google.com. Okay, so you will see that it's basically has to go to the endpoint where the basically the IP of which, where the app, this google.com is hosted. But you will see that the hosted IP is 142.251.42.68. Okay, but it is not going directly to that point. Okay, it is going intermediate some point. These are also the IPs, it got timed out also. Okay, so this is basically to protect the server. Okay, so you see multiple IPs are coming up. Okay, why? So what happens that when you send a request, okay, when you send a request from point A to point B over the internet, okay, it doesn't travel like this. That, okay, from I started from point A and it went to the point B. There are multiple hop points are there. Okay, multiple hop points, it can be your router, it can be your WAN router also. Okay, it can be there are multiple routers are there, let's imagine. So they are traveling like this, like this, from point A, point B, point C, point C, point D, like that, it will keep on traveling. Okay, now let's say there is some issue with this hop point, or let's say there is an issue with this hop point. Okay, or let's say that from going point A to point B, when I'm doing the testing, it used to take 3 hop points. Intermittently 3 hop points used to come. Okay, and certain latency was there. Now now after 6 months, something happened, and now there's some networking has done some changes. Okay, and some 10 hop points are coming up, which is increasing the response time. So you can do all the certification here as well, that we can reduce the hop points in between. Okay, network team has to come in this picture, and they, because they have the access and they can do all those things. So but as a recommendation for the performance team, we can say that, you can work on this area, and can you reduce some hop points so that the latency will be lesser. So this kind of testing is also getting done. Okay, so we can do this. Okay, we can do this. So that's why latency and bandwidth can be monitored, and any performance tuning needed, we can highlight this. And this usually comes up when we are doing the site certification. These issues can be identified and highlighted. Okay, I hope we are clear. So what are the key focus areas? So key focus areas, again, for a performance center or your controller, response, you're looking at the response time when we are monitoring the test, okay, and when seeing a result as well. Throughput, end-to-end transaction breakdown. Okay, tomorrow session we'll understand what is this. So I asked one question yesterday that if we hit a request, okay, from your LG, or let's say, or your controller, when I'm designing, I mean scripting also, from your Fusion you have hit one request and it came back as a response, okay, after going from the server. What happened in between? Okay, we'll understand that what happens actually, where my request is traveling. Because if we don't know which channel area my request is going, how will I optimize it? Okay, so understanding that is very crucial. We'll do that tomorrow. So that's why end-to-end transition breakdown, we have to understand that. Okay, then site user wise response time breakdown. Okay, so we can it's a good thing. Now imagine that I'm running from these 6 locations. Okay, I'll have one graph or I'll have one table in which a response time will be there for so some response time will come from here, from some response time will come from here, some response time will come from here, some response time will come from here. From all these 6 locations, I'll have some response time. Now, when I'm looking at the response time, it will be one average of it. Okay, so you will see that okay, the average is going a little bit higher. Then you have to look at the each location as well, from location wise response time, that okay, from which machine and all, how much response time. There is a possibility that there is some issue with this one particular location as well because of some reason, let's say, okay, network, or be it any machine issues also. Okay, and it's very high, it's very high, it's average, right? So it will spoil the overall average. So if we see okay, one particular machine is causing an issue, okay, one particular location is causing issue, then we can remove all this location and focus on this, understand what is the issue. And if it's like it's a issue from our end, or let's say machine issue is there, anything is there, that we can remove that machine. And if it's network issue, then we can also highlight that. So that's how we identify. Okay, so looking at the response time breakdown from a site wise and user wise is also important. Okay, then basic, when it comes to monitoring, what are the basic metrics that you want to monitor? Okay, so server availability, your servers, these servers should remain available, it should not go down. Okay, so that's very important during the test. Then you see utilization, memory utilization, disk IO. Okay, disk space also, we have to look at. Okay, now in terms of advanced monitoring, what can you do? So you can look at the services that are the critical services. Okay, then your process that are critical to the functioning of the application, then your ISC, then Tomcat, Elasticsearch, JVM, garbage collection basically. Then you can have multiple database counters as well, that we will be monitoring during the test. Okay, now in terms of network, what can I monitor? So in terms of network, I can monitor the latency. Okay, I can monitor the bandwidth. The bandwidth should not go beyond 50%, then the latency should not be too much. So these are the metrics that when we are running the test, okay, we are the runner, will be monitoring it. Okay, so from the client perspective, when we are explaining this to the client, we have to tell them that these are critical components that definitely will be looking at it. And again, we have this Dynatrace deployed on the environment, so if any anomaly will come, we'll be looking at that as well. Okay, so this is the methodology that how we are going to actually execute a test in our project. Okay, clear guys?
Yes, that user or size-wise response time breakdown, we can do that in LoadRunner, or we have to
No,
find out some
that
other.
is, so you have to use the third component, which is analyze, I mean analysis basically. So in analysis, these all things are possible, so we can break down using from LG and all those, I mean, where you all the result creation part, no, that for that we use analysis, and this can be done through analysis. It's very easy. You have to just put one filter, it will be sorted. Okay, just like we'll be doing it. Actually, we run it from our machine only, but when we are running the test, no, so when we are done testing and all, just because we'll be creating 3 different results, so in any test, after any test, just remind me, I'll show you how to do this. Okay, how we can do this.
Okay.
So it's yeah.
And how to
Now,
find out
yeah,
how to find out how many half points are there? I mean, is there any way to find out?
yeah, see, there's a network monitoring tool you have. Okay, in that network monitoring tool, it is possible. If let's say you don't have it, so what you do, you basically do a try set. Now, as a security point of view, if you see for google.com, because got timed out. Okay, now think from a Google point of view, that if I'm Google, okay, and if I expose my system, so there are certain policies that is inputted. That's why when you send any request to your google.com or any general public hosted website, it usually get timed out. Okay, that is because to protect their privacy. Okay, now in your internal van, it is not the case. Okay, it's not the case. So there it will be exposed. Okay, so when all you need to do that before the test, written test, and after the test, you have to take reset that website and take a snap of it. Okay, and then you'll know. And you can, if you are having, like, if you're having doubts and all, do one thing: just take the timestamp of that duration, net send a mail to the network team. Can you please share the network utilization and the hop points for the duration of my test, and they will share all the data. If you have the access, it's you can pull it on your own. Okay,
Okay.
can you unmute yourself? Yeah. Okay, thank you. So next thing is, now that's a good question. The client will ask, okay, fine, I understood everything. Now in general, I want to understand that I have multiple application under, okay, I'm managing it. So what should be my trigger point? Okay, what should be my trigger point? Like, if you can simplify in a smaller, like a simpler definition, so that I can know that, okay, this is an issue, I need to do a performance testing here. So we define, okay, there are certain trigger points that one should also be watchful, that, okay, if they are finding these things, then definitely they should do a performance testing here. So at least one of the any of these five conditions that I have stated, any of these five conditions satisfy, then you should definitely go with the performance test. Let's understand that. So when the user count is increasing, okay, so let's say today I have tested my application with 100 users. Okay, in 100 users. Now in future 200 users are coming up. Okay, and then a testing has been done, all the certification, okay, all the certification is there from our stream, that has been done on a 100 user base. Now in future 200 user came up. Now the client is complaining that the performance of the application is degraded, and users are complaining. Okay, then you can't do anything, right? Because we have tested for 100. Okay, and then the user basis has increased significantly, so I cannot comment on that, because I don't know how system will behave. Okay, for that I need to do the testing. So if the user base is, definitely that should be a trigger point. If the user base increase, you have to tell them, sir, we have to do the performance testing here to understand the system and certify that, okay, fine, the application will be stable or not. Okay, so first is user base, like it's easy to understand. Then next thing is significant change in the code. Okay, now what happens, lot of time a code change is also needed. I mean, as a software, I mean, the software that has been developed, that needs to be optimized. Okay, under a lesser TPS or under lesser load, the application behave properly. But when the user base increases, okay, when you are working on, let's say, 10 TPS, okay, 10 transaction per seconds are happening, the application usually be like the functionality wise it's okay, but yeah, in order to optimize it, you need to do some code changes also. So if you go on 100 TPS, the application is not behaving the way it is supposed to behave. Okay, let's say that if I'm placing the orders, okay, let's understand this. Okay, so let's say that I'm placing the order. Okay, and I logged into the amazon.com in the morning. Okay, the traffic base, user base is very very less. Okay, I'm able to do or place my order. Okay, but what happened that around two, uh, some sale is there. Okay, or a lot of user base are the frequency. Okay, in India people will not obviously wake up at 2 in morning and order something. Okay, so my user, I mean, the experience that I have while booking at that time, it is very good. Okay, in the afternoon it is very helpful, so a large number of user base will be there. Okay, at that time when I'm trying to book the application, or some order, it's not good. I mean, the orders are getting stuck. The application is, I mean, the web page is loading or if you are using through app, the pages are, all the orders are get loaded very very late. Okay, so as my experience will get degraded. Okay, so it's a code issue. Now you'll see that it can be infrastructure issue as well, but there's a possibility that there's a code issue also that we have to look out for. So we have to look at, okay, find if the user base increasing, the orders are getting stuck also, there's a possibility that you ordered something and it didn't get processed also. Okay, it didn't get processed also. So this is definitely a code issue. So whenever there is a significant change in the code, we have to test the application. Increase in the database volume, let's understand this. Okay, today, uh, again look again, I'll take an example for Amazon.com only. So when the Amazon started, okay, let's say I copied Amazon.com and I was opened one Amazon India. Okay, now when I opened, I had a user base. I mean, the inventory that, let's say, you can think of as inventory also, or the user base that I have, or data that I have for the users, okay, in my system was almost nil. So some 10 users is there. Within a year, I had a very, very exceptional growth, and the user base now, I mean, the data that I had, okay, in my database has increased for 1 million, let's say. 1 million is there. Now, tell me that when the when you're using the application, should the application behave the way it is behaving when the data was there only 10 and now the data is 1 million? Tell me. I cannot comment, right? I cannot comment. It doesn't happen also. Because why? Because let's say when you are fetching any data, let's say user detail, inventory detail, anything that you are fetching, a call is getting made to a database. There a query is getting run. Okay, now the query is running. Now the I mean the data, let's say in that index, there are some 10 data only. So the query will be obviously faster. Now if the data is 1 million, the query will be obviously it's going to take some time. Okay, it's like it's in 0.00001 milliseconds. Here it can go up to 2-3 minutes also, if the query that has been written, that is not optimized properly. Okay, if there is some issue with that database also. Okay, there are multiple database available in the market. Oracle is there, MySQL is there, then there is MongoDB, then there is Couchbase. Okay, there can be an issue with the database as well. It happens. Okay, so we cannot comment. Okay, fine, if there is very less data in the system, when we are testing the application is behaving differently, and when the database volume is large, the application is behaving it is like the way it is behaving when there is less data. Okay, so as a performance testing team, you have to be very watchful for this, that how much data you have. And a performance testing as a performance tester, you have to ask that question that sir, what is the volume expected? So what usually happens that data volume, I mean volume testing is also getting done. In that, what we do basically, that we feed some data into the system. Okay, dummy data. Okay, usually database team or migration team does that. Our dummy data has been put in the system, we test the application. Okay, well, let's say a 1 million dummy data will be put in. Okay, it can be a mix of production or dummy data. Okay, and then we do the testing. And then when we do the testing, we see, okay, fine, if this much data is there in the system is behaving the way it is supposed to behave. The response, the KPIs that we have discussed, agreed. Okay, the CPU utilization, the memory utilization, the transition flow, the transition failure, or the response time are within the SLAs that we have discussed. Then obviously in the future also, when that much data will come for that user, for the users, the system will behave the way it is supposed to behave. So in and so again, if the volume is increasing, then definitely you have to ask them that, sir, the volume base has increased and we have to do the testing again. New country or site rollout. So I'll explain this, that new country. So I have one application. Okay, I have one application deployed in US. Okay, now I want to expand in India. Okay, and obviously I know that as a application architect, I know that if the users, if I just launch my application and my everything is there in my US. Okay, okay, so a high latency will be observed, and I don't want that. Okay, I don't want that, because the experience, the brand value that has been created for me because of the, I mean, the services that I'm giving. Okay, I don't want this, I mean, want the same experience for my Indian users as well, right? I don't want them to have a higher latency. Okay, when they are hitting my website, checking longer duration to just to load, also people will lose interest. Okay, that is the main issue. That's why I mean, all the streaming websites, no, performance testing is very crucial. The telecom industries, all the streaming websites, because see, if I'm opening one app and it's taking so much time to open, also I will lose interest. If it's like a bank also, see, I mean, a lot of transaction happening. That's why in the banking domain also, you'll find a lot of performance testing is getting done. Wherever the user experience is very crucial, performance testing is definitely needed. Okay, so I want the same experience. So what I've done, I know that, okay, because my operations are little smaller, so I'll just mimic my whatever the system, the configuration that I have. When I say mimic, I mean software that has been developed, the infrastructure supporting that. Okay, so now I will do the same rollout for my India location as well. And then what will happen, I'm expecting that whether it will be same or not, may or may not be. How do I certify that? performance testing. We have to do performance testing. We have to certify. Performance testing, certify. Okay, fine. Site certification. We call the site certification. That okay, fine. These are the SLAs or the KPIs will be met. And if any issues are there, then again optimization will be needed to optimize that. So if any rollout, let's say tomorrow they want in China, let's say tomorrow they want in Europe, we have to do a performance testing. Okay, structural infrastructure changes. Okay, so this is related to the hardware part. Okay, if there is a hardware chain also, it is recommended that you should do performance testing. Okay, because sometimes it is possible that it doesn't tune properly. Okay, it doesn't tune properly. This is the hardware that is input in the it doesn't tune properly. So in order to test that under the high traffic, and usually what happens that when some changes, the changes are done. Okay, so on a low traffic, functional testing and all the functionality has been tested. Okay, that always works out. But the issue only occurs when the user base is high. Okay, when the user base increases all, okay, then issues start coming up. That's why we have to test it. Okay, so these are the five things. If you see anywhere in interviews and in general, or let's say you're working a project, be watchful for these all these 5 points. And if you see any of these 5 points, definitely you should stand up and ask for performance testing. Okay, what is the best practice? Business needs to be suggested to test mission and business critical application minimum once a year. Okay, what is this business, business critical and mission critical? Okay, so let's say that there are applications. Okay, uh, again I'll take an example of amazon.com. Okay, now there's one app, let's say tomorrow amazon.com is down. As a customer, okay, as a customer, I cannot order anything. I cannot order anything. Okay, and within amazon, obviously there will be a lot of apps. Okay, there are a lot of apps for the management. Let's say when I'm so there is one feature called amazon featured. Okay, so I think those product is owned by amazon itself. Okay, so when you place it there from where the warehouse from where they're storing it, they pull that and send it to you, something like this there. Okay, now when I'm placing all that order, okay, there will be multiple internal applications. Okay, there will be multiple internal applications which the only exposed to the amazon employees only. Okay, so let's say moving the parts from one location or to another location, or the inventory, all those inventory details. Let's say there is some application to manage all these things. Okay, now let's say tomorrow these applications are down. Again, it's a business loss, right? It's a business, there will be a delay. So today when I placed order, I got 2 days delivery, but due to some issues got delivered in 5 days. That is not acceptable. Okay, that is not acceptable, but manageable. Okay, but if the application itself is down, amazon.com itself is down, then it's a complete business loss, right? Every second is a business loss. So that is a business critical application. Okay, and these are mission critical application, internal application, where I can have a little bit, downtime is possible. Again, these are all losses. That's why down down, if these application are down, it's a loss. So we do not want that to happen. But yeah, again, these are not business critical, these are mission critical to keep the mission going. Okay, but yeah, if the business critical application are down, where the immediate business loss is there, then definitely for this application continuous monitoring is needed. And critically, every once a year all the business critical application needs to be tested. Okay, so keep the performance up to date. Okay, so this is a best practice. If someone asks, okay, what should a best practice? Okay, how should I do it? And in general also, if you are in a project, these things are very important to understand. Okay, I hope we are clear. Let's move on. Clear, guys?
Yeah, it is clear.
Okay, so next thing, same extension of what we have discussed. Okay, I'll go a little bit quicker here. Let me know if you have any doubts on this. Total named user and concurrent user. Okay, so can you anyone tell me what are the concurrent user and what is the difference between named user? Any idea? Understand it again from amazon.com only. Let's understand this. All the people who are registering for in the app, okay, all the users, okay, they are named users. Is it possible that all the users that have even I have, you have, everyone has amazon account, right? But do we log in keep all the time? No, right? So let's say 10,000 users are there, 10,000 users are there. Okay, these are named registered users. Okay, I know that, okay, this is my user base from because of the registration that happened. But it is possible that all these 10,000, only 30% users will use the application one, I mean, at a time. Okay, not all the users will come up and start browsing it. Okay, so again, if the user base is increase, I mean, this is then greater than 25, and the average base count. Okay, so each region, if it's like more than 10, then you should go for the with the performance testing. Okay, these numbers can change also. Okay, these numbers can change also, but yeah, I've put in this number considering that into a WAN network. Okay, so if in an office WAN, if you this is the user bit, then you can recommend performance testing. Okay, but again, if you look at Amazon and all, the count increase significantly. Okay, now I hope we are clear, right? Concurrent users and named users, clear, guys?
What about named users?
All the registered users. So if I've developed an application, some people has to log in into that application, right? So all the users who have logged in, I mean registered, right? So I have a like these many application. I know that they have created one account, so definitely they'll be buying in the future with me. Okay, so those are all named users. Okay, and concurrent users, I mean the users which is using my application at a time. So of the 10,000 users at a time, if anyone all these 10 out of these 10,000, only 30% users will log in and use my application, like that. Okay, that percentage can vary. Okay, we'll see that how to get this percentage. Okay, how to I mean, this is something usually comes from the application team or the application architect, because they also need it, right? Develop the application. So usually these numbers come from them. Okay, we have to ask them what is the concurrent, what is the percentage of the named user, the concurrent user will be there, so they'll give us this percentage of it, and then we can go ahead and use that number for our testing. So usually we work on this number only, concurrent user, how many concurrent user will be there. Okay, so you in your interviews also and in general also, you should remember that how do I know that, okay, I need to test with these many users. So we have to look at the concurrent user, how many concurrent user will be using that application at the at that time. Okay, okay, so next thing is operations of business. So revenue, business functional coverage, revenue impact, high in need, every time. Okay, so if there are operations of business, okay, so application which is needed for the operations. Okay, inventory movement, let's say there was an application which is tracking the movement of your package, like that. There's an application internal to it that is needed, right? That is needed. I want to check whether package is there, or the inventory management tool for any organization. Okay, these are application I don't know. I mean, we don't need it, right? As a for customer, I don't need it, but yeah, for the company point of view, it's very needed. Okay, it's a very important application. So functional coverage is needed. Then revenue impact, let's say that if internally let's say that tomorrow I have placed one order, and there is so Amazon, what they do, they verify that product whether the availability is there or not, all those things, and they give a go ahead. Let's say there's some application which is developed to do this. Now that application itself is down, then again all the users will all the orders that are coming in, that will be stuck, so that will cover revenue impact, right? So that's a business loss. Then high availability, the application which is needed available needs to be available all the time. Okay, ticketing application, the best example you can think of is your when you go into office, you do your in your that you have to fill your timesheets basically. Okay, let's say that is down, obviously that's a business loss, right? The company cannot track on which day or how many hours you have worked on. So high availability is is very much needed here. So all if the application fed by any of these three criteria, then performance needs to be done. Okay, global access, user base spread globally. Okay, so if the user base is spread globally, then again you should do a performance testing, because we don't know that what will the behavior is there. Okay, I'll give you one example to understand this. Let's say that I have an application hosted in India. Okay, there is a possibility that the user base is spread all over the world. So some people is not accessing from London, let's say some is accessing from China, some from India, some from US. Okay, now there is some particular user who's raising a concern. Okay, saying, okay, I mean, you can put right complaints. So people are putting complaints that okay, the application is not behaving, the application is behaving abruptly. Okay, all those questions are getting raised, high response time is getting observed, it's taking forever to load. All those people like write like this usually. So how do I test it? How do I know that this is a behavior that is expected from this location, this particular location, and all that? We do this using performance testing only. So if that is the case, then definitely performance testing needs to be done. I'll give an example of it. So one time we have done the performance testing on an application. Okay, and what happened that every now and then we were getting one complaint that the users are facing issues, then the performance testing team, I mean, we have certified the application. After a month we started getting this complaint. Okay, so we looked at the code, we looked at the infrastructure, we looked at everything, and we found that nothing is changed. So we have understood that okay, this needs to be monitored extensively. So we have enabled real user monitoring for that. Okay, and then what we have observed, that there is a performance degradation for a particular region. Okay, there is a performance degradation for a particular region that was from Taiwan region. Okay, now I mean, I don't know, I mean, because of some because, and one thing that we have also observed, that the users, I mean the users that were using it, the Chrome browser that they have, okay, that was very old. I think 12.01 something was there. Okay, and every time they use it, they were having performance degradation. So there was a policy on the Azure, I mean there's a servers were hosted on Azure, so that was not being enabled for security concerns. Okay, if that policy has been reverted, people who are accessing from that browser will not face this issue, the performance degradation. Okay, because the traffic that is being coming, the that app, I mean that Azure servers are blocking it. Okay, basically that's why it was taking forever, and it used to get timed out. Okay, so what is the solution? So as a performance engineer, we have identified these things. So what we've suggested, that sir, that either you disable this policy. Okay, then the current user who are there, they'll be able to use it from the existing browser, they will not face any issues. Or there's another solution that we came up with, that even the, I mean from the Chrome itself, they have like introduced something after 12.0, I think 16.10. If you use any of this browser, you will not face there's that issue. Okay, so so we have suggested that sir, employ any of these two solution. Okay, and then the user will be okay. So again, the company cannot change the policy. Okay, so security team didn't allow that. So what they have done, they have published one template to all the users, based basically from that region, that you have to use this certain browser version, and after that there was no complaint. Okay, so again, understanding this thing and identify this thing is possible only through I mean the application is global. Okay, if the application is global, then definitely we need to have a performance testing and this process, so that we can identify where the user base is facing any issues. Okay, now next thing is their public usage. Okay, so high external user base. Okay, it is very easy, not very easy, I would say. It is very when the application is a controlled environment. When I say controlled environment, that means in your office LAN basically. Okay, so it's easier to identify and optimize. Okay, but again, if the use application is exposed to the internet, okay, people from anywhere all over the world are accessing the application. Okay, we do, there are multiple variables that comes into the picture. Okay, not just leave the network. Okay, some people is using some bad network, that is another thing. But yeah, hardware level, we have to look at from the hardware itself, that from which hardware they are using it, their laptop, their mobile, their what version of it, and then to the web server, app server, DB server, and again going back, tracing it back. And we have to look at all these components. So i- the the area where the issues can come up become very high. Okay, Uh, okay, so again, if a application is such like that, then again extensive testing needs to be done on this as well. Okay, then architectural complexity. Okay, complex computation is there, banking basically. Okay, so in banking domain, why banking domain is little bit harder, because again the logic that is in develop and the flows are little complex there. Okay, because they want a business requirement. So if that is the case, then definitely performance needs to be done, because when under the high TPS, it usually tend to fail. So if it's not tested, we cannot comment. Then heavy data interaction. I will take the example of again banking domain application. Imagine people are using UPI, or even on bank also, high speed transactions are happening so fast. Okay, even when you are booking, if you look at it, when you enter the OTP in your when you're buying something, and everybody will be like, okay, fine, whether it should not fail, it should not fail, that comes into your mind, because these are very high speed transactions. Okay, a lot of algorithms are running in the background. Okay, now they are behaving the way it is behaved because of the extensive performance testing that has been done. Okay, and all these issues have been already found out and removed from the system. Okay, performance team, as a performance team, we always try to do the extensive testing of the application. The more testing you do, the better the application will be, because all the issues that will come up in the future will come up now. The teams, application team, DevOps team, infrastructure team, and database guys, or application architect can help to improve the application even before the user can experience all those bad things that can happen to them. Because that issue will come up in the testing itself. Okay, so that is very much needed. That's why the multiple interface and jobs. So multiple uh, okay, if the architecture is very complex. Okay, usually what happens that today one architect came, he has developed an application. In the future they keep on deploying the application, and the architect kept on changing, or the application team kept on changing. So one code on the top of that, another code on the top of that, another code they have developed. Okay, and usually it get messed up. Usually it get messed up. Okay, so multiple interface jobs can be introduced to address those issues. So the architect, all I mean to say that if the architect is very complex, okay, the architect is very complex, the flow is very complex internally, then definitely you should also do performance testing, because people tend to miss out something, and those issues can be found out using performance testing. Okay, now need for a special need for the performance test. So sometimes on an ad hoc basis, people realize, okay, fine, we have application, but let it get us on the safer side. Then in case of any of these five, if not met, but the customer still want to do performance testing, sometimes there's a case that you will not find these five things. Then you should not think, okay, if it's not matching the checklist that has been given to me, I will not do the performance testing. No, that is not the case. If the customer wants, okay, fine, he wants to have a more confidence in the application, saying, okay, the application that has been developed, it will behave the way it is supposed to behave, then definitely you should go with the performance testing. Okay, I hope we are clear. Okay, next thing. Now, as a performance system, you need to understand that you have certain limitations. Okay, you have certain limitation as well. You have to understand that which all area is there that you can analyze and recommend, and there's what are the area that you can analyze only. Okay, so if you look at it, can you unmute yourself? Okay, thank you. So if you look at it, so there is a client, your when I say client, that means a browser. Let's say it can be a mobile, it can be a laptop, it can be your office workstation, anything. Okay, or a browser, all those things. So client, you can analyze, you can optimize as well. Okay, because that is under your control. This is for the internal system. Okay, internal. Now next thing is network. Again, if it's like a WAN, office LAN, that obviously you're monitoring your WAN, you have all this tool employed, then you can monitor that as well. So what are the things that you can monitor? So bandwidth, traffic volume, router configuration, priority of transaction, network footprint. Okay, all these things you can monitor, and if you feel that, okay, any anomaly is there, or it is not the way it is supposed to be, then you can optimize that as well. From the client point of view, what are the things that you can optimize? Then processor and monitor, uh, your memory. If the office laptops are, I mean, the laptop itself is poor. Okay, when I say poor, that means itself, let's say not application, using the application, it is very slow. Then obviously the application, when you're sending request, that tends to also become very slow. Okay, so that's not an application, so that's a hardware issue. Okay, so again, if that is under your control, then you can look at it and you can obviously suggest and optimize. Let's say, how do I identify this issue? It's very easy actually. All you to do, you have to, when you obviously you look at your application as a opportunity, we'll try to see all the things that you have tested. We find, okay, nothing is there. Okay, then we will say, okay, which users base is facing this. So then you start looking at that user. Okay, and then understand his from his point of view, his condition, and then you look at it. Okay, fine, it's a hardware issue. So that is how you figure it out, filter it out basically. Then local network, there can be an issue with that particular. Now these, whenever these issues will come, this will be localized. Okay, This will be localized. If there's a application issue, there's a issue with the application, but that will be a global issue if all the users will be complaining. Okay, if certain user base, certain users are coming from particular region, then definitely there is a high possibility that's a localized issue. Okay, then network also comes into the picture, local network that is there. Okay, then browser settings, sometimes browser setting needs to be also done. Okay, so that will be also come into the picture. The next time we see server. Okay, so from the server point of view, then obviously code. Obviously we have the bandwidth, so we, if we found okay some code is taking long every time when we are saying, let's say you have analyze some thread dumps, okay, and analyze that a lot of threads are waiting basically. Okay, and some piece of code is getting it's getting whenever the code is going to that piece of code, okay, or method, it is getting stuck. Okay, so there is some code changes that need to be done. Okay, so that can be identified. Then memory and process, basically this is of your application, I mean your architecture, basically app web db, basically you're looking at that as well. Seeing that okay that needs to be optimized, you need to optimize that as well. Okay, then that network as well, whenever it's inside the network of your architecture, basically what is the scene, we have to look at that as well, where there is some issue or not. Again, that will be a global issue. Okay, then compression and all, that is something that we can do it. Okay, no need to go deeper in that. Then database, then program queries, database architecture, indexing, maintenance. Okay, indexing is happened properly or not, maintenance is there, maintenance, I mean, the indexing is updated or not. Okay, all that compactation basically it happens, that is been getting done or not, when was the last time it is done. Maintenance, when I say unnecessary archival data. Okay, so obviously I have when company store all your data, right, but it is not possible that current data, let's say I'm a user which has registered in 2001. Okay, 2001. Okay, and some user is registered in 2009. So what will they do after certain time, they basically archive that data. Okay, when I say archive, that means they put some last 6 month data, let me take that and put in another place which is called archive. Okay, so archive is being getting done regularly or not. Okay, a lot of archival data is there, then again it will cause unnecessary space usage, so that should not happen. So that comes under maintenance and all. Okay, so that needs to be done properly. Then comes the network, then proxy filtering is sometimes it has been put in place. So you need to check that whether that is blocking our network, or basically packet loss are happening or not at this level. Okay, next thing is your URL monitoring, gateway capacity. You have to look at the gateway capacity, whether the gateway had that capacity to manage that much of traffic. Okay, then you can do some URL filtering also. Okay, monitoring also on this end, that okay, how much traffic is there on my network. So that also that can be monitored. Now these are the field that we can analyze as well as optimize as possible team. But if the system is externally exposed, okay, this is for the application which is hosted over the internet basically. If I am complaining to amazon.com that oh, I am facing issue while loading the application, Amazon will say, sir, can you please check your system. Okay, that is what I will get it from them mostly. Or they will say, sir, can you please change your network. If you call the customer care also, they talk to you like that only, sir, can you please open your system, can you tell the configuration, can you please check your network, can you please change the network, all those things, because that is something I can only check. I can only check, okay, but I cannot optimize it. Okay, when I say analyze, checking only. Okay, but I cannot optimize. So you need to clearly understand that what are the fields where you can analyze it and where the field that you can optimize it. Okay, I hope we are clear. uh, Hello, are you guys?
Kaushik, suppose I'm doing performance testing. While running the
Hmm.
test, I don't know where it might be a problem, like network or server or database. How
Mhm.
could we know that the problem has occurred in network? Then we know how to do that one. I want to know that one, Kaushik.
Okay, so network, for that network, so what you have to do basically, in our testing also, unmute yourself. Yeah, can, 1 second, can you
Not
unmute
myself.
yourself? Yeah.
I think someone has been muted.
Okay, okay, okay. So whoever it is, please unmute yourself. Okay, thank you. Okay, so That's a good question. Okay, that's a good question. That when do we network come into the picture? Okay, now
Not not
what?
not network. Suppose I have run the test, but I don't know the
Mhm.
problem where it was occurred. Suppose, for example,
Okay, okay, okay,
network
okay,
came. How can we know that one? For example, server came. How can we know that one? That's what I'm asking.
okay. So for that, two things that you need to do. First of all, we have to understand that how a request is traveling. Are you aware of it? That how a request basically travels when you are hitting from your browser. Okay, so you have to understand, okay, when I'm hitting a request from a browser, how it is traveling, or how it is going to my apps into my architecture. Okay, how it is coming back. Once you understand that, then you will easily understand how to filter it out basically. Okay, so for filtering out, I will tell quickly. So we have like these tools, right? If you look at it, this, it has been like clearly mentioning which channel component that you need to use to analyze it. So if you see, if there's a issue in this data center, there's a issue in SaaS solution, you have to use these tools called Dynatrace or Datadog. Okay, if there are issue in this site location, then we have to look at the, I mean, we have the access, so you can monitor it during the test also. Let's say that Switzerland machine is slow itself. I mean, there's a, the machine that has been given to it is very poor configuration. Okay, now even if I log into the application, I mean the machine itself is very slow. Obviously, there will be a high response time also. Then we have to, let me weed out that thing. Now we have a stat seeker. Okay, let's say any one network monitoring tool is there. Okay, let's say even you have don't have this one also. Then you have to do, you have tracer, right? So you have done tracer like before the test, during the test, and after the test also. So you have to look at that numbers. Okay, whether see whether during a test whether the network latency has increased or not. Okay, once you are sure that there is a possibility, this is a way you check and you remove, you check and remove, you check, you check, you remove, and then you find out, okay, this is a component that looks suspicious, and then do another time of testing in which extensive monitoring will be required for that duration. Let's say you have identified, okay, fine, machine issue removed, Switzerland machine has been removed, now other machines looked okay, so I'm doing the testing. Okay, now I've on the using my APM tools, I've tried to analyze, okay, whether my system is working fine or not. I'm sure of it now also, I've removed that as well. Now I'll be extensively monitoring the network using, I'll pull in some network monitoring guys as well, okay, network team basically, and ask them if they give me the access to their dashboards, that's well and good. Otherwise, I will pull them in during the test and ask them to monitor it, or send a mail or ask them to monitor during the test. Okay, and then we will look at it, because again, that tool will be there, that tool will help us to identify, okay, all the traffic that has been coming up. If that doesn't come up, then that's a layer, right? So when you are seeing, okay, high packet drops are there, then you look at the, then you can take a TCP dump as well. Okay, at that level, then you can see whether the packet drops are happening or not. When I'm sending a request from my controller to the point where it's going into my machines, basically LGs, whether the packet drops are there, or I will then, if that is not there, then I will look at it whether from my LGs, whether the packet drops are there when it's going to data center or not. So this is the way, I mean, it's like I cannot sum up in the one class. When we do, when the test, when the course is done, you will be able to get a better picture of it. Okay, but the process is to look at the system, see if there's an issue. If not there, remove that system, then look at the other system. Okay, and then we keep on doing that and then find the issue. I hope
Okay,
it's
okay,
clear. Okay, so this is the last topic. So we'll talk about different kind of testing that we can do. Okay, but the time is already done. So we'll continue this tomorrow. Okay, if anyone has any doubts, you can ask me now. Otherwise, these two topics will cover tomorrow, or we can extend. Can we extend, guys? If you're okay with it, another 20 minutes. Okay, no issues. We'll continue tomorrow.
This conference will now